this story so... I have told this story so often that it might even be true. I was home trying to think of a new superhero. Now, when you try to dream up a new superhero, the first thing you have to think of is what's his superpower. And it seemed to me everything had been done. We already had a guy who could burst into flame and fly. We had a guy whose body stretched, a girl who was invisible, a guy who turned into a giant green-skinned monster, and so forth. So I'm sitting around and I see a fly crawling on the wall. And I said, hey, wouldn't it be something if a superhero could crawl on a wall, stick to walls like an insect? So I said, I'm going to try that. Well, then the next thing you need is a title, a name. So I said, let's see, what will I call him? Insect Man. That didn't sound right. Fly Man. Mosquito Man. And then I got to Spider-Man. I mean, boy, that had the feel and the sound. So I might as well continue this story because there's another part to it. I brought the idea for Spider-Man to my publisher. His name was Martin. And I wanted Spider-Man to be a teenage kid. And I wanted him to have a lot of problems. And I thought that'll make him different than the average hero. So I told Martin about it. And Martin said, Stan, that is the dumbest idea I have ever heard. He said, first of all, people hate spiders. So you can't call a hero Spider-Man. Secondly, a teenager can only be a sidekick. Can't be the hero. And finally, you say you want him to have problems? Stan, he's a superhero. Don't you know what a superhero is? They don't have problems. They have superpower. So, needless to say, he didn't let me do the story. However, we had a magazine later on that we were about to kill called Amazing Fantasy. Now, when you're going to kill a magazine, nobody cares what you put in the last issue because the magazine is dying. So just to get it out of my system, I put Spider-Man in that last issue. A month later, after the sales figures came in, and Spider-Man was featured on the cover, after the figures came in, Martin came into my office and he said, hey Stan, you remember that Spider-Man character of yours that we both liked so much? Let's turn it into a series, and now you know the inside story.
The rest is history. Yes, someone in the back. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I came across something on the internet where they're talking about bringing back like the Incredible Hulk to the TV series now. Is that possible, or is that going on?
Which TV series?
Like bring back the Hulk and some other of the Marvel properties to TV.
Hulk back to television? He's going to be part of the Avengers.
Oh, is that the Hulk? No, you're right. Marvel Comics is working on doing a new Hulk TV series. It was in Variety and the Hollywood Reporter yesterday. It was just announced.
Okay.
I know no more about it than anyone else, but I read the announcement. That'll be exciting.
Yep.
Yes.
Stan, I'm curious. If you're still reading the Marvel comics and the whole Marvel universe, and B, what you think of the whole direction of the just the universe you created.
What do I think?
You still reading the Marvel comic books, and what do you think about the direction Marvel is taking?
Well, I hate to disappoint you. I can't give you an opinion because I honestly do not read the comics because I simply don't have time. I haven't read. Am I gone?
Yeah.
I haven't read the comics for a couple of years now. In fact, it's a strange feeling. Obviously, I used to be the head of Marvel Comics, and I knew everybody who worked there. I hired most of them. Now, I pick up a comic. Somebody will show me a Marvel comic and say, hey, what do you think of this artwork? Or look at this cover. And I'll see names of the cover, of the writer, the artist, the editor. I don't even know who these people are. I don't even know the names. I feel so out of it. Occasionally, they'll ask me to write a story about Every month I'll write one story of some sort that's in a Marvel comic book. But that's all. But I don't have time to read the books. And don't go telling it. Don't tell anybody at Marvel about that. Let this be our secret.
And how do you feel about the direction Marvel is?
I don't know what the direction is because I don't read the books. By the way, tell me, what is the direction?
Well, they just ended a darker storyline with Norman Osborn taking over S.H.I.E.L.D. and now they're heading into this kind of event they're calling the Heroic Age, which is kind of a return to semi-lighter storylines.
Now they're heading...
The S.H.I.E.L.D. are coming to a...
They're just doing lighter storylines with an event called the Heroic Age.
Doing lighter stories with an event called the Heroic Age.
I don't know. I just don't know. But look, they always have to come up with something. The last time that I was reading the books, they came up with something that I thought was brilliant, and it was they had a war between the superheroes. Some of them, it had to do with they wanted them to reveal their identity or something, and some of them wanted to do it, and some didn't, and they fought. And I thought that was brilliantly written and a really great idea, but I have not seen the comics after that, so I just don't know.
Yes.
Are there any superheroes in the Marvel universe that you wrote that you feel haven't been developed or need to be developed into film projects?
Are there any I wrote that what?
And any of the Marvel characters that you created that haven't been developed, that you said, you know what, that's one that really needs to be developed, that they haven't.
Well, they've done almost all of them, but I'm waiting for them to do Doctor Strange, which I know they will. And the Black Panther, which I know they will. And believe it or not, they're developing Ant-Man. That's going to really be something to see.
Do you have any comments about your cameo on The Big Bang Theory?
On which series?
Big Bang Theory.
Oh, The Big Bang Theory. That was great, because first of all, I love the show. And when they said they wanted me to do a cameo, I thought I would just be standing in the background or something. But I was like a featured performer. The only thing, for those of you who saw the show, the only thing that bothered me is it turned me into a really nasty, bad-tempered guy. In real life, if anybody was that much of a fan, I'd probably have invited him in and talked to him. You know, fans are hard to get, especially for someone like me.
You also worked in Mallrats.
Yes, that was one of my stellar performances. Funny thing about Mallrats, I remember, it was so many years ago, but somehow or other I was lecturing one of the guys who was unhappy with his love life, and there was a girl he remembered, something, and I'm saying to him, well, you know, there was a girl I was in love with many years ago, and I've never forgotten her. So when I went home, my wife said, who's this girl you're talking about? And I said, Jody, it was just a script. I was reading a script, but it took a while to really get back into her good graces.
Yes.
I love Iron Man, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in the Avengers in 2012. I was wondering, will there be an Iron Man 3?
Iron Man is going to be part of the Avengers, of course, and the question is, will there be a separate Iron Man 3?
Oh, I'm sure there will. I mean, Iron Man was so successful and so well received by the public, they've got to make another Iron Man story. The fact that he's in the Avengers won't stop them from doing another one. All it'll do is generate more interest in the character.
Well, it's really a supporting cast of all the characters. Captain America, Iron Man, and it just is going to help launch those individual movies. It's really brilliant, Mark.
That's right, and it's smart of Marvel to do this. The only problem, they can't use all of their characters because I think Spider-Man is still under contract to Sony. You know, Sony has the rights to it, and Paramount may have the right to some other character, maybe the fan. I can't keep track of them.